It's time to check in. This is Vivi.
And it's Tony.
It's been a few episodes, and yet we're still talking about our honeymoon. We're almost done with our honeymoon series. We definitely have some stories for Taiwan and Japan that we want to share. And this stop, we're talking about Taiwan.
You mean civilization?
Yes.
To a certain degree, I think we're in a better mood. You know, you just got healed from Bali, right? And now we're stepping back into civilization. It's a more familiar place.
It's familiar because I've been there before. I kind of know what to expect already. You just haven't been there.
Yeah, it's been a place that I wanted to go every single time with my family, with other people. But every time I plan to go to Taiwan, it always gets hit by a typhoon or an earthquake or something random. I just never end up going on that trip. It's a weird coincidence, but when it happens more than 3 times,
It's the world telling you that you needed to go with your future wife.
it's like, okay, you delay it until your wife comes around and you get to go to Taiwan with her.
Surprise! That's why I chose the Taiwan leg of it, because Tony has never been there. And because I've been there before, I can kind of show him around and also show him what I enjoyed.
You can show me the world.
Are you going to start singing now?
No, just one line. That's all I could do for every song. One line.
But I think when we arrived in Taiwan, it was nighttime, and it kind of gave me a slight PTSD from my first trip in Taiwan, where I also arrived around the same time at like 9 p.m. or so. At that time in 2017, the MRT was pretty new to Taoyuan Airport. I didn't know that I took one of the last trains to get into the city. And when you get to Taipei main station, I needed to change because I had to get to where I was staying. I didn't realize that the Taipei MRT actually doesn't run throughout the night. And I was like rushing because people were saying that, oh, that's the last train, that's the last train. I was dragging my luggage, running on my own because it was a solo trip. When we arrived in Taipei this time around with Tony on our honeymoon, I was like, okay, I definitely need to be smarter about this. I need to do more research because I don't want to be running for the last train.
Well, there's always alternative. Train, of course, is the more affordable and the easier to transition and transfer option. But if all else fails, they have Uber and other rideshare options as well. So
Yeah, so money can solve all issues, right?
it's just a matter of how much you're willing to pay.
You got money, right, Tony?
Enough for train only.
What I also remembered was there's not always escalators or very conveniently located elevators. And we had our luggage from already being in Asia for close to 2 weeks.
Actually, if you think about it, it's a relatively nice privilege that we have on our side, where we have escalators going up. We have elevators readily accessible in train stations. But in all other parts of the world, it might not be a given.
Yeah, so I entered this trip knowing that because I've been to Taiwan and parts of Asia before. So I trained.
You were mentally prepared for this.
Not just mentally, but physically too.
What do you mean by physically prepared, huh? What did you do?
Man, when I saw those stairs, I'm pretty sure, Tony, you were thinking, oh, I gotta carry her luggage again.
Facts.
But this time around, I'm like, all right, let's go. And I took our big check-in luggage. I don't even know how much that weighed. It was probably like at least 25 pounds.
More than that, probably 30.
So I ran up the stairs with it.
I was like, she did it. She could finally lift her own luggage up a staircase. Ooh.
I think Tony was in tears.
Tears of joy.
Yeah, because you didn't have to lift my luggage up there. It actually was quite a ways because it was 3 flights of stairs. So I would say if you're able to travel a little bit lighter when going to Taiwan, or you could really try to find the elevator, which I didn't have time for.
Or ride share. No need for escalators.
Money!
Yep, money solves all problems, or most.
So going into Taiwan, I feel like my mental was so excited.
You were so ready to start the day at 9 p.m.
Oh yeah, by the time we got to the city, it was already like 10 p.m. We checked into our hotel. The first thing I told Tony was, let's go to the night market. It's still open.
I was just very surprised how much energy you had after all that traveling. I was just ready to decompress a bit and slowly calm myself down. And then you instantly just ramp up your energy up to 10 and you're like, night market time. I'm like, let me turn on my engines again. Hold up. I'm not able to keep up with your pace suddenly.
Yeah, so we stayed kind of in the middle of Taipei main station and Ximending. So one of the night markets that were somewhat nearby that we walked about like 10, 15 minutes to was the Ningxia night market. That was the night market that I had gone to on my first Taiwan trip. And I was like, oh, it's actually somewhat near the hotel that we're staying at for our honeymoon. Let's go there. And it actually closes pretty late. And that was Tony's first night market.
You made sure I had a good first impression, so you brought me to one of the quote unquote better ones.
In terms of locals, I think it's also pretty highly rated.
But boy, those night markets are crazy.
In what way?
Everywhere around the world, they're starting to do night markets, and there's a lot of imitators, even in the local Bay Area, maybe some in Vancouver. But the one in Taiwan, the vibes was immaculate. The smell of good food was just all over the place. A lot of people lining up for food, but it's not like it feels congested. And there's so much options. It's like perfect for a late night bite situation. Oh, this place is the vibes.
Yeah, and Ningxia at that hour around like 11 p.m. or so, there was not really that much lines. There was barely anybody, I would say. But the lines that Tony is talking about are the lines for the other night markets that we tried and gone to during our honeymoon.
No, there were some lines here and there. Lines be damned. The food was good.
Worth it?
Oh, yeah. It's really worth it. The amount of money I had to fork out for one of their food items, bang for the buck, and it's delicious.
And you didn't have to worry about the cleanliness, right?
I don't think that's an issue. Well, there's a lot of trash and debris from people finish eating and they're throwing it in the trash can and trash cans are overloaded. But in terms of food, the food was very clean.
Yeah, we did go to many different night markets. We went to Shilin.
We went to Raohe.
We also went to Linjiang. And then we had went to one in Shifen.
We just happened to be traveling around Taipei, so we managed to hit up a lot of them.
And we actually made it a point to almost have it every night for dinner.
I think our stomachs will be very mad at us if we make this more than a week's trip.
But what was your favorite food that you had in Taipei, Tony?
That's a very tough choice because we tried a lot of food in Taipei. I think there's one that left the biggest impression, pretty much became core memory, is the soy braised meat.
Lo mei's.
Yes, the lo mei's. It is very savory, soy sauce based, and it just had the right blends of herbs and saltiness that is not too extreme on any ends of the flavor spectrum. And they serve it to you in a small bag with a little toothpick where you're just eating it like a snack. I was like, oh, this is great. This is fun. I like this. This is awesome.
Yeah, and they had many different meats too. I haven't really tried as much soy braised meats before, but when I saw the stall, I didn't even recognize some of the stuff. I was like, wait, that's sausage. I think that's intestine. I think that's duck tongue.
There's also gizzard. There's heart. There's a lot of pork. Actually, don't sleep on the pork. The pork is the best thing.
I was there for the duck tongue. We tried a variety, but also tried to keep the portions kind of small. But the other people in line, wow, they're ordering for, I don't know, days worth of food, I feel like.
No, I think they're ordering for the family, or it's going to be for the dinner table.
It definitely looked delicious. I didn't know exactly what I was seeing, but just get a variety. Try everything if you're open to it.
Yeah, so that was my favorite food. And the flavor, this gets me. What did you like, Vivi?
I have a list.
I thought you said favorite. Why you have a list? That's cheating.
I would say that the one thing that I kept going back to that I had to have at every night market was the stinky tofu.
Coming from the person that says durian smells like cat poop, you decide to get the thing that smells like a dumpster.
Well, I grew up smelling it in Chinatown. I've never had it before. It just made the whole street super stinky. It makes you want to barf at the same time. That's the smell I grew up with. Even though they no longer have that restaurant or stall in San Francisco Chinatown, I never thought that I would like stinky tofu. But when I tried it in Taiwan, I mean, it's fried food, right? I told you I love fried food. It does smell a little bit. Not like durian, okay? I would say durian smells a lot worse. You cannot compare.
How dare you?
You cannot compare stinky tofu to durian.
Durian at least smells like a fruit. The other one smells like trash can.
No, but it tastes delicious. I had my first bite of it, and I was like, oh my God, this is delicious. It's super flavorful. Paired with the pickled vegetables, it was just explosion in my mouth.
And a little bit of hot sauce on the side.
I think the best one I tried was actually at the Shilin night market, or it's just those stalls at the train station area. That one had very strong garlicky flavor, and I loved it. That was my favorite one. But I feel like I had to have it every time just to see the variations of how different stalls make it.
Wait, do you like the one in Shilin or do you like the one in Shifen?
Oops, I mixed the two up. It's Shifen. Sorry. Shifen is just a nearby town or city to Taipei. It's like a day trip, but yes, it's Shifen.
You're losing your mind over stinky tofu.
I know. I'm already losing my speech because of it. It's because I'm salivating at the same time as I'm talking about this. But that was the one thing that I kept eating. If I can have a second favorite, Tony.
Oh, go ahead. Please go ahead. Run that list through.
I mean, I have a longer list, but I want to mention the one that also surprised me because I initially didn't know what I was eating. We had gotten a skewer. Tony was interested in getting them because it was on a hike and stuff, and they had a barbecue stall. Tony lined up for some skewers. I told him to get a variety, and he came back with one that was called Qili Xiang, which means 7-mile fragrance.
Something like that.
We bit into it, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. I never had this before. And afterwards, Tony realizes what it was.
No, I knew exactly what it was.
Oh, so you just didn't tell me.
Of course, if I tell you, you'll be disgusted.
So it was chicken butthole.
It's not chicken butthole, it's the chicken tail, okay?
Meaning chicken butthole.
No, we take the chicken butthole out of the chili xiang, and then we just leave the little tail part, and we just eat that portion.
I've never had that portion of the chicken before.
In my family, it's reserved for the most elderly and respected person. It's not like you're gonna get your turn.
No, but I didn't get it because I was like, why would you leave the most respected person the butt? Like, I didn't understand that. Are you just calling them names?
And now you know. The chicken only has one little tail bit, and why it's reserved for the most respected person. Not because we're calling them that. It's because it's very delicious.
Definitely hit the spot. I wasn't even disgusted at that point.
Why would you be disgusted? You were going to be eating stinky tofu all the time. You had the smelliest fruit per se, and now you're just eating a chicken butt. Chicken butt sounds so mild next to the other two.
It was like a skewer of chicken butt. It was 7 chicken butts on a stick.
When I was buying that skewer, I had to ask the vendor, oh, what is this one? He told me in English, 7-kilometer fragrance. And I'm like, is it chicken butt? He's like, yeah. I was like, that please.
I wonder why they call it that though. 7-kilometer fragrance? It's because you can smell their butt from a mile away or something?
Don't ask me. You go figure that out yourself. That's the term they use for it. And it's better than calling it chicken butt.
It definitely does sound like you're eating something classier. If you're ever in Taiwan, give it a try. It is something that surprised me quite a lot that I remember it. It's not just a funny story. It was really great. But my other long list of things, a lot of things from the night market. We had the sweet potato balls, it's fried mochi balls. I really liked those.
They were good, but the fact that you watch them freshly fry them in your face and they serve it to you, that was so fresh.
I feel like my list of food, a lot of it's fried. A lot of people associate Taiwan street food with popcorn chicken, right? Which is like the fried chicken with some basil. There's another thing that I feel doesn't have that recognition, but people should definitely try, is the boneless fried spare ribs.
Ooh, that stuff hit the spot. If you ever have alcohol in your hands or you have alcohol in your system, that is the best pairing.
They're boneless too. It looked kind of unassuming. It just looked like fried pork. But when I put it in my mouth, I was like, this tastes better than popcorn chicken. Holy crap.
They took the labor out of eating spare ribs. So all you have left is the meat that's so crunchy. You just get a good bite along with the whole deep fried breading on top. So it's crispy and it's crunchy.
And nothing stuck in your teeth.
Exactly. That was dangerous.
There was also boneless chicken feet, which is something we don't really see over here in the United States. While I was eating it, I was imagining how they made it boneless. And I remember watching this video of this toothless grandma biting out the chicken feet and then spitting out the meat. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, is that what I'm eating right now?
I don't know if you're grossing out the listeners or you're just making them salivate, just like us.
It was worth a try. I don't know how they make it boneless, but it was great. I appreciate the no effort eating these types of foods.
Well, now that you ran a few off the list, can I add one more to my list?
Sure.
It's not fair. I want to add Fuhong.
Which is the soy milk company.
Yes, the soy milk company. They have a stall in a food mart indoors for once. There's always a huge line.
We got out of the train station and we saw a line and we didn't even know what it was for. We walked right past it. I was like, wait, what line is this? Maybe we should just line up not knowing what it is. Whilst Tony stood in line, I went all the way to the front and then I realized it actually was the Fukang line.
This place serves traditional Taiwanese breakfast, soy milk, youtiao, which is...
fried donut.
Yes. They make bread cooked in a standing oven.
It's kind of like a tandoori, right?
Yeah, like open lid, but then it's like an oven shape. The bread was fresh beyond imagination. You could literally watch them make it through a glass, slap it into the tandoori. When it's ready, they take it out. When they prepare it, you could add some eggs to it. You could add youtiao. It blew my mind. It hits the spot, and you just feel so rejuvenated and so surprised that it tastes a lot better than expectation. The line felt very short.
It was quick. We got in line and it looked at least an hour. But actually, we only lined up for about 20 minutes.
Given we were down the stairs, around the block, turned 2 corners, their production speed was extremely efficient.
I feel like I could eat that every day for breakfast.
No, we'll be fat.
We already are.
We don't want to be any fatter.
I would say the tandoori oven bread was the most memorable to me, with a side of their very fresh sweetened soy milk. That was bomb. The texture and the flavor of the bread, it was like just right. It was a little bit sweet, but having like the egg, the spam, and also the fried donut inside as a sandwich, I was like, oh goodness.
Only thing healthy in all that is probably an egg.
We weren't on this trip to be healthy though.
Yeah, we're recovering from what we haven't eaten in Bali.
But one thing I did appreciate outside of all the really inexpensive boba teas, I had seen this stall in Ximending and they were selling a white bitter gourd or bitter melon honey drink. And I was like, hey, that's not only good for your health, but also because we were eating so much oily and very not healthy food, that actually kind of helps your body counteract and also balance it.
Right, so let's have medicine in one hand, toxic in the other.
I felt that I was finally able to kind of balance like my throat, my body. It made me feel a little bit better.
So outside of just constantly eating, there's other experiences that we had in Taipei. There was one that was relatively memorable. Do you remember what happened on the first night we were there?
Yeah, after we had eaten and went back to the hotel, I remember taking off my shirt because I was pretty hot. So I was relaxing under the AC. Suddenly, our hotel started shaking.
And it kept shaking.
And I was like, oh my goodness, is that an earthquake?
Given the San Franciscans that we are, we just were like, yeah, it's an earthquake.
We were really chill about it too. We were still sitting there and we weren't even taking cover or anything. But it felt different because we were in a high-rise building. It definitely felt very unstable. One part of my mind was like, dude, I think you should get up and put your shirt on. Maybe you'll have to run out of the building or do something. I don't want to be found naked.
If you're higher up in a building, the shaking from an earthquake actually gets magnified.
That was a lot scarier than I thought. I mean, thankfully it wasn't like that big of an earthquake, but feeling in a high rise hit a little different. But Tony here seemed to not be that scared. And he even mentioned, if only we were in the Taipei 101 observatory building.
I want to be up there when an earthquake happens. Am I crazy?
Well, you were very intrigued by that balancing ball that they had up there when we had went and checked it out.
Wait, so if you think about it, don't you think that that ball is very counterintuitive? Why would you put such a big, heavy mass on the top of the building?
Because Taipei has earthquakes, they have to counteract it somehow, or else that building is not going to last.
Yeah, it's a huge damper to make sure this high-rise building doesn't shake that much, and it helps counteract earthquakes, which is actually amazing. That's why I wanted to go see a big metal ball.
Yeah, and Tony had told me when we were up in the Taipei 101, oh man, I wish we had experienced an earthquake here. And I'm like, are you crazy? I didn't even want to experience the earthquake in our hotel room. He's like, you might not even have felt it if it was up here.
They're going to dampen all the movement into the ball, and you're going to watch the ball shake, and you might just be waving a little bit.
I might pee my pants. It's pretty high up, dude.
Yeah, I know you'll pee your pants. I will too. Don't worry about it. But it would be really cool to see that ball actually move. Given we live in the earthquake zone, this is like engineering that's done to counteract against high damages from earthquakes. Very rare stuff, so I wanted to try it out. But getting one earthquake is already very lucky. Getting two and one on top of the Taipei 101 is asking for too much luck now.
I don't think the Taiwan residents will be too happy to hear this from you.
But yeah, that was fun. The view was all right. I just want to see the ball. I didn't care about no view.
But did you notice something you might have kept experiencing or hearing when you're in Taiwan?
Not that I really noticed. Everyone's really friendly, I guess.
欢迎光临，慢慢看哦。
Oh, yeah.
That was me trying to speak like the Taiwanese girls or the people that work in stores. Once you walk in, that's what you hear.
Did that get to you or something?
I remember that very strongly on my first trip to Taiwan. This trip with you, I didn't hear it as much. Maybe because we didn't walk into like a lot of stores and malls. Because I know I don't even fit their clothes, so it's all good. Let's not even try anymore. It does intrigue me how they could speak in that voice all day.
Well, if you do it enough, I guess they know how to use their nose to generate that sound. Just get a nice high pitchy voice. Oh, welcome to the store. Please look around.
It's really difficult for me to make that voice. But when I grew up, a lot of people felt that, oh, that is so cute. That is like such a nice voice, or like they kind of prefer it while I'm like speaking like a dude, much lower and kind of like a stronger voice. I've always been envious.
I mean, it's a given trait, so don't be asking for some genetic stuff.
It sounds really sweet. I just can't imagine that voice yelling at you. That will hurt my ears probably.
I can't imagine that in America.
欢迎光临.
No, in English.
Hi, how can I help you?
Oh, that's so unbearable.
So Taipei area has a lot of different places to explore. We spent about 4 or 5 days, but there was this one place that I wanted Tony to visit as well, which is a day trip outside of the Taipei area called Jiufen and Shifen. And the reason why I wanted to take him there was because I had went there on my solo trip and I had flew a sky lantern. The way that the sky lantern works is that you do write some wishes on the different sides of the sky lantern. And then afterwards, you let it go and let it fly. And it's like your wish to the universe. And at the time, I had wished for love.
So you're telling me the Sky Lantern works?
Yeah, because I was single for quite a long time. And I was already losing hope that I would ever find someone. But the same year that I flew the Sky Lantern, at the end of the year, we started dating.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, please form a line when you're going to make your way to Shifen to fly a Sky Lantern. Don't wish for making $1 million. It might not work. Do something realistic, please.
I'm not saying that it definitely worked. I'm just saying because of that experience, I felt that I needed to go back and bring you.
So you're telling the sky that, hey, thanks for making my wish come true. Here's more wishes.
Yeah, pretty much. I wanted you to experience it as well, but I just felt like it was a return back to that place with the thing that I wished for.
So how did that day trip go?
I think it went even better than my initial solo trip there. The first time I had rode the bus. It's relatively close. It's maybe about like an hour-ish away by bus. My friend that had gone there more recently, she had said, you know, riding the bus is great. It's cheaper. But when she had went with her family, they had hired a personal driver service with a van to drive her family around. And that was much easier. And because a lot of people go on these type of day trips, they're able to bring you to other different neighboring towns. It's affordable and you get to see a lot more. So I was really intrigued by this, and she had recommended the driver to me, and he was great. They pick you up from your hotel, and they ask you what you want to see and where did you want to go, and then they'll also give you tips. And one of the places that I hadn't been to that he had recommended, and my friend had also recommended, was the Cat Village.
You mean the abandoned mining town?
Yeah, which has a lot of cats, and Tony's a cat person.
Yes, I love cats.
But because we don't have our own, I was like, oh, this might be a place where Tony will enjoy, where he gets to see a lot of different cats and pet them too.
Well, they didn't really stick around for you to pet. They were just doing their own thing. They were not that timid. So I had a good time watching them enjoy their life, sunbathe, chill on rooftops, hop around, smack a mantis around.
Oh yeah, we watched a smackdown where this little cat saw a praying mantis and started pawing at it.
I think the right word is smack, 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 smack. Oh, the mantis is looking dead. Give it a stare down. Look at the corpse. Oh, he's faking his death. Smack, 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 smack. Oh, you're trying to run away? Smack.
Yeah, that was the death blow.
Smack.
We just recorded it and just watched it, but we didn't try to save the mantis.
We were being Planet Earth videographers at that moment, just watching nature happen, aka the cat smacking the crap out of a praying mantis.
So there are definitely cats everywhere. It was very nice to see. People that live there actually take care of the cats. So they're all homed and they're all well taken care of. They have food. So you don't necessarily have to feed them or do anything for them. You just kind of give them love. We had specifically chosen a day where it was the weekday and it was a little bit less busy. So there were some shops that were not open. But because it wasn't as crowded, I feel like we had more time with the cats, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, I think it was a very big bonus.
But the cat village was just one stop. We had then went to Jiufen and also Shifen.
So Jiufen is an old mountain town. For the people that go there for the first time, whether or not you have expectations for how it looks, it's a very beautiful, scenic, China-themed mountain city that has a great viewing of the ocean and the bay. And there is so much different foods. It's so vibrant, so colorful. 10 out of 10 experience. I'm pretty lost for words. It was the place I was like, oh.
You had the view of the ocean and you also have the view of the mountains and all of the residential housings going down the hill as well. I rated it 9 out of 10 because I wasn't able to go to the coffee shop that I wanted to go to, which had a grand view of exactly the scenery that you're talking about.
You know what scenery I got? I got a view of someone's butt crack trying to take a picture of someone in front of you. And that was not fun. But hey, I was having jokes and some Aussie folks heard my English and they were like, oh, would you like to see the crack? There's an opening right there. The people who had their unfortunate butt crack showing because they're helping their girlfriends take pictures didn't realize that his butt crack was showing. But that's the one scene you can get to see because I was telling you to cover the butt crack. That was actually fun. I think Jiufen, everything was so picturesque.
Even the butt crack.
Well, you know, you gotta make some fun in times when a butt crack is there.
You crack jokes for the butt crack.
Touche.
And then we went to Shifen, which was the highlight for me because I was returning there to bring Tony to also fly a sky lantern.
The sky lantern activity that we did, it was actually really interesting. We were writing down our wishes on the side of a sky lantern. We had to use a calligraphy brush trying to write our wishes down. So our words look very deformed.
Ugly.
Okay, fine. Ugly. No F in front, okay? We were setting this sky lantern up in the middle of the railroad tracks.
Active railroad tracks.
It was not just us. There was a dozen of people doing the same activity.
The different colors of the lantern also mean different things. We had gotten one that pretty much was encompassing almost all the lucks that you could possibly have.
You could say we're greedy, but, you know, we just want to be well-versed.
We had written down our wishes, and by the time we had gotten in front of the railroad tracks, they helped us take a lot of photos, told us to hold on to it as it was kind of lit. Afterwards, we were supposed to let it go, right? When we flew it up, it was flying, and then we were watching it, but suddenly it went behind a building, and the driver and also the person that was selling us the sky lantern was silent. They thought the sky lantern had failed and had burnt up, and it wasn't going to fly anymore.
It probably have crashed.
On our sky lantern, we were hoping for forever lasting love and a happy marriage. So I think everybody was silent for a little bit because they're like,
that looked like a bad sign.
Yeah, that was like, uh-oh, their marriage is going to crash.
It's like, we should probably recommend them some divorce lawyers.
They had initially said, oh, it's okay. It happens. Your wish is still fine.
Suddenly, you hear the Pirates of the Caribbean music. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know how to make the sound, but you hear the whole Pirates of the Caribbean music, and then you suddenly see our lantern flying back up from behind the building, higher than ever. Like, we have triumph falling behind the building and potentially crashing, and now we are stronger than ever, and we're just flying away.
Yeah, so I think no one expected that. Thankfully, we didn't stop recording. Our lantern really did fly back up. It was kind of windy because obviously you need some wind to be able to fly the sky lantern up. We were able to see our sky lantern actually make it all the way up there and then no longer visible to us.
That was a really fun experience. It's just a foresight of our marriage. We might have things be a little bit bumpy in the beginning, but, you know, we'll be stronger than ever. Believe in the sky lantern.
And the last thing I wanted to mention was we were unlucky and yet lucky. Initially, our trip was supposed to go to Keelung, which is one of the areas with another night market, another very nice view that we were supposed to check out. But because it was raining so hard the day before, there was a landslide that had happened right before we started heading into there. So we're lucky because we weren't there when that happened, but we were also unlucky that it happened. We couldn't go there to check out that view and also have the great night market there.
It's enticing us to go back to Taipei or Taiwan one of these days.
To go finish that trip up, right?
There's more to Taiwan than just Taipei. There's always other places. There's that very famous lake somewhere in the middle of Taiwan. There's the other cities. That's not Taipei.
Yes, I actually do want to explore the rest of Taiwan.
We definitely are coming back to Taiwan. The first impressions, spot on, immaculate. Everything about it, so lovable.
And for me, this being the second time that I had been there, I would still go back. The food would still be the number one factor that would call me back. Stinky tofu.
Ugh.
Chicken butthole.
I have to kiss this woman. With you all now very disgusted, it's time to check out. It's Tony.
It's Vivi.
I'll catch you all on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.